And welcome back. With all the steps that I've gone through and coming up to the various barriers with parts missing or wrong parts included with the kit, I've now moved on to the aileron section. I've tried to go through and just do one section at a time, just so I don't have various parts or pieces in various stages at any given time. I like only having the parts for the current project that I'm working out and about and getting prepared and things like that. So these last couple videos where I'm working on various different sections of the wing kit, kind of not the preferred method for me. So now I decided I'm going to go ahead and work on the aileron while I'm still waiting for the rear spar to come in the mail from Vans. And I decided I'm just going to, even if I get the parts from Vans for the rear spar, I'm going to go ahead and finish the aileron. That way, again, so I'm only working on one section at a time. I don't want to bounce back and forth. So that's what you see me doing here, working on, this is the right aileron. And as I mentioned, I think in one of the last videos, one of the difficulties of working on the right wing first is that all of the instructions are written for the left wing. And they all say, one of the first steps in bold is that the instructions are for the left wing, but the builder can choose to work on the left or right wing. It doesn't really matter. Well, the only part of that is that you really have to look at the parts that you're pulling and make sure that they are in fact for the side that you're working. I wish it was as simple as just pulling all the parts labeled with an R versus labeled with an L, but a lot of the parts, the ailerons, the wings, the ribs, a lot of them have pieces both left and right markings. The wings themselves, some of the ribs face open up towards the tip of the wing, and the other ones, the ribs, the flanges open up towards the root of the wing. They're right and left ribs. And so that's one thing I found while I was working on the aileron, is that the nose ribs, they're marked the opposite of what the instructions are showing. So in other words, the instructions show the left aileron, but it's using the R marked ribs, or vice versa. And so as you're going through, you finally you get into a rhythm, and I just need to pull the opposite. If the instructions say left, I need to pull the right, that kind of thing. But there's also a step in there where you have to countersink some brackets. You'll see me working on that in a little bit, on the ribs, inner and outer ribs of the aileron. And so you really have to pay attention to what the instructions are talking to when it tells you to make sure you are countersinking the correct side. The majority of these parts, there's three nose ribs. There's the I believe it's the inner nose rib, which is just a rib itself. Nothing attaches to it, but the middle and outer ribs both have a notch out of the front end of it, so where the counterweight sits, and it nestles into those ribs. And you want to make sure, again, looking at the instructions, if you're building the left or right, make sure you're pulling the right pieces. That was one of the first wake-up moments for me on this aileron. You go through and you basically you're going to mark up everything, get everything ready for the counterweight, and then eventually those ribs bolt onto the counterweight, and then you attach everything to the spar, and you have to do some match drilling with it. And that'll be in the next video, I think. And there's some difficulties that I ran into with that. Trying to drill into stainless steel tube is not the funnest thing, especially when you're trying to use an aluminum piece as the guide hole. The bit tends to walk, and it makes for a fun time. Anyway, so these are the inner and outer ribs of the aileron here that I'm working on now. And you'll see me look at the parts, look at the instructions, and look back at the parts, and that's where I'm trying to verify that I am in fact pulling the right parts and that they all match up, and that I'm attaching the brackets to the correct side. Easiest way to know which side is up on these outer ribs here is it's two pieces for the rib. There's the main piece, which has the webbing and a flange, and then the bottom flange is actually attached to the bottom skin, and so that's how you know which way is up. When you cleco them together, the small piece that's clecoed to the webbing is the bottom of that spar, or the rib, and that'll make a little more sense when you're looking at that step. Other than that, other things that I've got going on, just had an interview for possible promotion. It'll be nice. Right now I work for a power company, and I am working a rotating shift work, where one week I work days, next week I work nights, and I keep flip-flopping back and forth like that. Nice part about it is I have a lot of time off, but I also am working a terrible sleep schedule. So if I'm able to get this promotion, it'll be basically the supervisor position for what I do now, and it'll be just a straight 4-day work week type schedule. So I'm really looking forward to it. And as far as my Cherokee goes, still waiting for the temperatures to come down before we can start working on it. The number 2 cylinder is blown, as I've discussed in previous videos. The exhaust valve disintegrated and decided to eat up the interior of the number 2 cylinder. So my mechanic and I talked about it, and we decided we'd wait until October when the temperatures come down. So it's still sitting out there needing to be flown, but unfortunately I have to wait. So, and still looking for a hanger. There's a few that are available to purchase here at the Glendale Airport, but they're a little more spendy than I'd care to go, and they're not the greatest. They're just little small T hangers, but they are, something to provide cover for my airplane. So it might be something that I work on next year, but for the most part, just putting my money towards this project, so that may have to wait a little while. Now, as you see here, as I talked to you before, I'm really trying to align these inner and outer ribs, trying to verify if I have used the correct sides. Again, I'm building the right side, so everything is opposite, and it even mentions, hey, make sure you do this on the correct side when you go to countersink. And I'm looking at it, and I realized that, nope, I indeed did countersink the wrong side of one of the brackets. So at least it's something I can still use on the left side when I get to that point, but I had to go find the other part and use it in place. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this video run out here. Again, thanks for watching these videos. If you get a chance, hit that like button for me, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the alarm button, and you'll get notifications every time I put out a new video. I'm about halfway through the right side, maybe a little less, but we'll see how it goes from here. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.